Did you know that over 1 million Americans are dying annually of just heart disease and cancer alone? Do our doctors know the cause? Join us for the next 30 minutes of eye-opening science.
Hello, my name is Janelle Jones, and I have been on the phase 1 diet for about 5 weeks now, and it has changed my whole feeling of how I feel. I felt like I had the kind of like the sleep coma thing, sugar diabetes symptoms coming on, and after 5 weeks I do not feel like that at all anymore. I'm feeling so much better in my body, and I'm excited to continue this, and welcome to Know the Cause.
Oh, Janelle, that's amazing. 15 pounds in a short period of time, and that was taped months ago. I bet she's lost a lot of weight now. Today we're going to address, why do medications, surgeries, injuries cause weight gain? Why do you think? This show is called Know the Cause, okay? Then also, Dr. Roby Mitchell and his friend, Dawn, are here to talk about vaccination injury. Dawn's son had a shot at 5 weeks old and was injured. Let's talk about some of these incidents that happen after we take vaccines. Kyle Drew is here.
Hey, hey.
Oh,
right here, brother.
Kyle and I are going to do, this is interesting. Yeah. A woman had a lot of health problems. We wrote some of them down behind us. Kyle brought in supplements. We're going to talk about the importance of diet and supplements when you have all of these health problems.
Diet first, diet first.
This is going to be good. And then finally, can you drink lime juice and offset the craving for cigarettes? Susie said so, yes. All that and more on today's
Know the Cause.
Okay, now we're going to open up today's show answering a viewer's question. She writes, "Hi Doug, I'm a female Know the Cause viewer. I have a lot of issues, health issues. What is the difference between using supplements and your phase 1 diet?" Folks, there is nobody better to answer supplement questions, I believe, in the United States than Kyle Drew. He's got a degree in chemistry. As a little boy, he loved hanging out in health food stores and reading books and so forth.
I'm a dork, right?
He knows a lot about this.
That's right. I'll tell you what, this is a good question. It's one a lot of people ask. And the fact of the matter is that diet is always first. This show is a diet first philosophy. What I like to think of with diet is let's prevent. Let's prevent all of these slew of things from happening in the first place. But what if somehow something slips through? That's when I like to use supplements. Let's start with the first thing, the headaches. Headaches can be caused by a lot of things. Obviously, we're going back to the fungus and mycotoxin link, phase 1 diet, but what do you do if you've already gotten one? In general, what I like to think of first, spices. This is called Curamin. It's but one thing. I'll show you another one. This is called Migra X. And there's several others that I brought here, but all of them are basically spices. And so what I'll put on the board...
That's a good idea, spices.
And in particular, things like curcumin, things like boswellia, which is frankincense. These are great anti-inflammatories. Next thing, she mentioned psoriasis. I've had a huge problem with psoriasis in my life. The first thing I'm going to put is this. Do you know what that is?
Yes, that's your sun.
Sunlight. I think sunlight is going to be your friend, even in some tanning booths, if you do it for a short period of time, as well as fish oil. Hugely anti-inflammatory, nourishes the skin, does a ton of stuff. Joint pain. You know our friends from Flexin, right? The Flexin has the glucosamine. It has the CM8. It has a number of things in it that I think are going to be hugely helpful for you. So always remember Flexin, but also think about something that we will call HA, which is hyaluronic acid. That gives cushion to the joints. It makes you feel better. Oh, by the way, your hair, skin, and nails are going to improve as well. How about toenail fungus? You know, the thing I like best about, and I didn't bring it, but I like tea tree oil. for toenail fungus. It doesn't go away quickly, by the way, guys. You got to soak it, soak it, soak it, soak it, soak it. But I think that tea tree oil is the premier toenail fungus.
Vicks Vapor Rub. Many
That's
people
the
say
other
because
one.
of the camphor oils and so forth, all being
true.
antifungal, that Vicks Vapor Rub, but it doesn't happen immediately like Kyle says. It can take 6 months or so after you get out of the shower, blow dry the affected nail, and then put a little coating of either tea tree oil or Vicks Vapor Rub.
I think you're right on top of that. So tea tree oil, Vicks Vapor Rub, heartburn, okay? I think that most heartburn is a deficiency of stomach acid, not an overabundance of stomach acid. So the first thing that I think of is actually, I'll put it over here, is HCl, which is hydrochloric acid. Sometimes you'll see it called papain, but it gets rid of the papain if you have heartburn. And ACV, apple cider vinegar, Scott will show you that. This one is Bragg's, but I like the kind that has this stuff at the bottom, and you shake it up, just put a tablespoon in, drink it down. You can mix it with things like stevia, a little lemon juice. It tastes really good. It's fantastic.
A tablespoon in water?
I
with
think
a little,
in water
me
or
too.
straight up,
Me
but
too.
in water's the best way to do it. Halitosis, that's why Doug and I are standing so far apart. But I think that halitosis is something coming up from the inside. So I always say probiotic first, okay?
Yep.
Always start with probiotics. But how about this one? Scotty, this is mega chlorophyll. Any chlorophyll will work, but chlorophyll is nature's mouthwash. Put it in, it really takes care of the problem over time. And then, of course, we have things like this, the little peppermint drops with chlorophyll in it, which is, we keep these around all the time, but it's natural and it works. Finally, shortness of breath. I grew up with something called asthma. I don't know what all shortness of breath you might be dealing with, but I've dealt with things where there's a thick mucusy thing going, and it's miserable. There's a number of things that I like. This one is called ivy extract. Ivy extract. There's another thing, you get these combination formulas. This is from Christopher's. This is a lung and bronchial formula. And one that I think everybody suffering with any lung issues needs is NAC. That's N-acetylcysteine. And I'm not going to write all those down, but NAC is huge antioxidant for the lungs. But let's get back to diet though. Diet comes first, and for shortness of breath, you want the garlic and the onions, things that whenever you eat them, you have to blow your nose and cough things up. That's thinning out the mucus, and that's restoring good health.
The one amazing thing, Kyle, is that's a woman with all of these health problems.
Yeah.
Always get to a doctor first, you know that. But then tell your doctor you want to consider this, right?
DIET.
Diet is so important. Some of you will have those symptoms disappear just with diet. Then I love the supplements. Teach your doctor about the supplements and the diet that work for you. Thank you, Kyle.
Awesome.
Well, if you go back 6 years, probably a few years leading up to that 6-year mark, I was tired, fighting fatigue. I started having all kinds of food allergies, food sensitivities, from being lactose intolerant to being allergic to chocolate, nuts, seeds, allergic to wheat. But as I would progress through time, I would just kept feeling worse. And I'd catch every flu, every virus that would come by, I would catch it. I just got tired of being sick. Until at one point, I even got the Epstein-Barr virus, which sent me to bed. I was just exhausted. And then after that, they thought possibly I had Lyme disease. They tested me for that, or the West Nile virus. That wasn't it. If I continued on this path, I was trying to develop an autoimmune disease, either lupus or vasculitis. And when he told me that, I was shocked because I thought I'd always exercised, I tried to eat right, something's got to give. So I found out about Doug Kaufman and his antifungal theories and his antifungal phase 1 diet, and I started. Just went cold turkey and cut out everything that I've been eating that I thought was healthy, that I found out through reading his material was not healthy. As soon as I changed my diet, within weeks of changing my diet, I started having more energy, I started feeling better, I wasn't sick. If this can happen to me, it can happen for other people too. But the most beneficial thing about knowing the cause and Doug Kaufman is, for 6 years now, I've been well. I don't have flus, colds, viruses, and I have great energy. If you want that, watch Know the Cause.
You know, there's so many faces to fungi. As you hear on my show every day, there's a couple of books that through the years I've purchased. One is called Fungal Pathogenesis. Now, these are medical textbooks. I mean, the words in them are this long. But when you're in a crazy field like I am, it goes far beyond mushroom, right, or mycelia. These words are amazing, but fungal pathogenesis means pathogenic. Fungus can cause illness. This was a breakthrough book for me. I mean, it's not very old, maybe 10, 12 years old, but it delves in its 300 pages to the diseases that you can see when organisms that are alive are impregnated with fungus, the many faces of fungus. Another book I bought some years ago just because of the name. Sometimes I'll spend $200 when I have a good month on one of these books. Plant-derived antimycotics, written by these doctors. Think about that. Plant-derived antimycotic. Okay, what's antimycotic? Fungus makes a poison called a mycotoxin. Anything antifungal is antifungal. Anything antimycotic is antimycotoxin. So plant-derived, what do you think this book says? Again, 250 pages, deep science, much deeper. After I buy them, I order them online, I get them home. You know, you read the first chapter, your eyes are crossed. This is deep stuff, but basically it says, look, turmeric, curcumin, zinc, garlic, these are plant-derived antimycotoxins. That's important. If fungus never got in your body, it couldn't deposit the poisons it makes, called a mycotoxin. Once it's there, sometimes taking antifungals isn't enough. You got all these deposits of poisons in your body. You can kill the fungus making them, but if they've already deposited all over your body, you're in deep with this stuff, and you've got to take antimycotics. So think zinc, think vitamin C, think curcumin. Think garlic, think things like that, because plant-derived antimycotics says all of those things. Just great books and just my take. I wonder how many people love chicken salad, right? A lot of us do, but did you know how much mayonnaise there is in chicken salad? You know, there's always concerned about eating phase one. We're always concerned about that. Well, Denny comes up with a chicken salad that is just delicious and doesn't require the use of mayonnaise.
No mayo. That's right. So we just have an avocado here. Just mashed up a little avocado, about half an avocado, a very small avocado, mashed. Going to add a little bit of lemon juice just for a little seasoning. Kind of season it like you would mayonnaise. You know, avocado is full of good healthy fat, so it's kind of a great substitute for mayonnaise or Miracle Whip.
Do you remember, you know what, Denny, the one thing, and I want to interject something here. If you folks have watched Know the Cause for a long time, you saw chocolate that Denny made a couple of years ago. That's still, everywhere I lecture, someone walks up to me and says, that looked amazing. It was avocado chocolate.
Yeah.
That was delicious.
I know. Avocado is real versatile, and it's pretty mild tasting, and like I say, it has all that good healthy fat. And fat, you know, fat is what makes food taste good.
Monounsaturated fat, good stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got it kind of coated in the avocado, just like you would with a mayonnaise or some kind of dressing. We're going to add a little, because we love avocado so much because it's so healthy. We're going to add some chunks of avocado too for fun.
There you go.
A little bit of green onion. Scallions.
Everything I love.
Some chopped celery. We need a little seasoning, a little salt, and a little freshly cracked pepper.
Wow.
We're going to just stir that up. And there you have it.
See, quick and simple. I love this. This is something you can do at home when you get home from work. So many people think I have to eat a lot. This is only the salad in my dinner, but you can make this your whole dinner, and this is very, very healthy eating. Look at that presentation. That's so Denny, isn't it?
There you go.
Just wonderful.
Dive in, Doug.
Just wonderful. I love chicken salad with mayonnaise. I used to.
And you love it with avocado now.
Much better. Much better. Chicken salad without avocado.
Without mayonnaise.
I mean, with avocado without mayonnaise. Thank you, Denny. Delicious.
Are you trying to quit smoking? Try lime juice. Seriously, an interesting study compared using fresh lime juice and nicotine gum in smokers. After 12 weeks, they determined that drinking fresh lime juice was more effective as a smoking cessation aid when compared to the nicotine gum. If you or a loved one is trying to quit smoking, try squeezing half a lime into a glass of fresh ice water and sipping it throughout your day. Don't give up.
So I'm just imagining, a cigarette and a glass of lime juice. No, I don't need it. Throughout the
I've
day.
never even heard of this.
No,
this is brand new.
Kyle, we had a friend who worked at a restaurant out here that we visit,
Yeah.
and he had a patch on his arm, and he went ballistic. One of the side effects of that patch was anger,
Right.
rage, etc., and this happened to him. I mean, it's so amazing what people do to try and quit smoking, but I like the lime juice if that's going to
Wow,
work.
that's cool.
Coming on the heels of this
Yeah.
that Kyle and I just did, have a conversation with your doctor, friends. Always, always, always. I ended that segment by saying, talk to your doctor, teach your doctor. Doc, I've had these problems for a long time. 6 years I've been coming here and getting your pills. Can we switch gears and try something else for 60 days? You see, supplements can be quite strong and quite useful, but use them wisely. On the other hand, medications have many, many side effects. Use them prudently. We all have to eat. Are you eating the right way or the wrong way? And I think that will have a lot to do with headaches, psoriasis, joint pain, toenail fungus, heartburn, etc. So,
And by the way, I used to have to use these inhalers for asthma, for example, and all these tar creams for psoriasis, all of these things. And yes, I like doing the natural stuff instead of those, but what I like even better than that is being on a diet for the long term and remediating these problems for the long term, so I'm not chasing symptoms with supplements. I don't want to be forever chasing symptoms with supplements if a diet can take care of it for me.
and remember that sometimes a cortisone shot can be life-saving.
Oh, it can.
But then you have to dig in. Why did I swell up like that? What was the cause? It wasn't a cortisone deficiency. Next question, Doug. How does surgery or medicine, surgery, and injuries cause weight gain? This was a real question. I think it's really a good one, Kyle.
That's a good
because so many people write to us and say, look, I've been in the hospital for 2 weeks. Why can I now not lose weight? Or I broke my leg skiing or something like that. So let's touch on each of these. Medication and weight gain. Some medicines actually cause weight gain. It's one of the side effects. Know that antibiotics, the most prescribed medications of all time, make cows big. They can make you big. Stress also causes weight gain. Medications are nutrient robbers, and without proper nutrition, weight gain is one of the many symptoms that medication takers may notice. And then we get over to surgery. Surgery leads to hospital food. And we've all been, in or around a hospital. I worked in one for a decade. So think about the Jell-O link, okay? Antibiotics and recovery time. In other words, you're sedentary. With questionable quality food, antibiotics, and without exercise, weight gain is inevitable. And finally, what about injury? Injury-induced weight gain. Injury may lead to hospital food, but also it leads to antibiotics and sedentary time while the injury heals. Talk to a good physical therapist about exercising regularly while you're recovering, and to a good dietitian, I'm being a bit facetious here, about eating whole grains and chocolate. How many times have we read that chocolate or cocoa is anti-inflammatory? Cocoa tastes horrible. Did you ever, when you were a kid, break into Mom's cupboard? She had those bars that look like Hershey bars. And you open one of them and you speed off to the living room. You eat a little, poo! It's coca, or what is?
Cacao.
Cacao. Yeah, our friend Greg says cacao. It tastes horrible, but it does have anti-inflammatory. What price? Anti-inflammatory. It's not chocolate, but somehow the dietitian community picked that up and said, a little bit of chocolate's fine. And whole grains. Don't eat regular grains, eat whole grains. Those are also vulnerable to injury while they're being siloed, and they can grow mycotoxins. As a matter of fact, they do, many of them do, and we're eating those, and the mycotoxins themselves can injure us.
I think that this question is a really insightful question because a lot of people are not so in touch with their bodies that they even realize that, whoa, I'm gaining weight, but they recognize that it's after I took the antibiotic or after I took the prednisone or after I had an injury and I was lying around lethargic for a long time.
Yeah.
I think that when you start to recognize, really pay attention to what you're eating, what you're taking, and you can start to see, you know what, when I eat a little more fat and far fewer carbs, believe it or not, I start losing weight.
Yeah.
When I stay off the medication, when I used to reach for this certain, like acetaminophen or something, for a headache, and now I'm reaching for some of the spices that we talked about earlier, I'm not gaining weight. I'm not lethargic for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't recognize, in fact, they're taking these medicines so often and they're having side effects so often that they think that these side effects are just a normal part of life. Well, guess what? They're not.
Remember Alyssa?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Alyssa took a stand on this vaccine-induced injury.
That's true, yeah.
Yes, it may be rare, especially when you're vaccinating every child that's born a dozen times by the time they're 1 year old or so forth. And far be it from me, Kyle, or this show to make that judgment call for you. We now have Google searches. We can look at the good, the bad, and the ugly about vaccines. And we're big people. We can make that decision with the assistance of a physician who's been trained in this. But what happens if it was your 5-week-old that was injured by vaccine? When we get back, Dr. Mitchell and Dawn Corridor are going to discuss that very point.
Then I called back a couple hours later. He's still crying. He's not blinking. Okay, let's watch his tongue, make sure it doesn't swell.
Just before Christmas, this past Christmas, my husband went to the doctor. He had been ill for a few weeks, and he went and he found out something that was totally different than what he went for. They came in and told him his PSA was 21.4. They were very concerned and wanted to do a biopsy. We weren't going that direction, so we went home and started on the phase 1 diet, along with olive leaf and some omegas and vitamin C, and 30 days later, went back and had another PSA test. They called him the next day with the results. Very exciting. His PSA was 2.1. The nurse told my husband, I've never seen anything like this. What are you doing? And he said, we're praying and doing an antifungal diet. And she said, well, keep doing it. And we don't need to see you again for 3 months. Do the phase 1 diet, or at least the phase 2. If the phase 1's a little too strict for you, at least do the phase 2. Oh yes, he's lost his belly.
So producer John Miller hands me this segment and he says, in 4 minutes, I want you to talk about vaccines. Right, John? And here we are. Dr. Roby Mitchell and his better half, Dawn, join us today. Thank you both for coming in. Dawn, when Jason was 5 weeks old, your son, he got a vaccine.
Right.
Do tell, what happened?
He got the DPT vaccine, and within an hour, high-pitch scream, 12 hours.
Which had never occurred prior to that.
Never.
Okay, so you're in the car probably driving home with him.
We were already home.
Okay.
We were already home, and, so what was the crying, they say that's
Right.
normal,
Yep.
a little fever, give him some Tylenol.
Yeah.
But it was really when I noticed he wasn't blinking.
Wow. So it's like in shock or
Yeah.
something. Okay, you
Yeah.
call the doctor.
Called the doctor, they said, normal, just watch him. Then I called back a couple hours later, he's still crying, he's not blinking. Okay, let's watch his tongue, make sure it doesn't swell.
Oh, your heart has to be thumping out of its chamber.
yeah.
And this is why I asked Dr. Mitchell to come in also, to kind of go over this with us, because you've probably given a lot of vaccines. You've made it through your PhD degree and your MD degree. You know a lot about these things. Probably atypical, right? Kids who get DPT vaccines don't have that happen often. When they do, we worry about it. Adverse reactions and immunizations, Roby, where are we on that?
So adverse reactions happen for two reasons. One reason is that vaccines in just the course of vaccines, they lower the immune system. So now we're already in this environment where we're breathing in viruses, bacteria, and fungus, right, and in and on us 10 times more than what our normal cells are. So we're in a perilous situation there. So if you open a door, right, by giving the vaccines, particularly when you do it multiple times, then that gives access to all of these critters. So that's one reaction that can happen. So people, I mean, the Guillain-Barré, those type of things, right? Those are immunological disorders. So when you take the flu shot and you get the flu, it's not because there was flu virus in the flu shot, it's because it lowered your immune system and all these other viruses then gained access. The other thing is the chemical preservatives that are in the vaccine, right? Those can give a chemical reaction for people that have a genetic predisposition, right, to have those. That's why some people can get an exemption if they have an allergy to egg, or some of these other things. So those two reasons, right, or make vaccines prone to give reactions in some people. Obviously, there are millions of kids that get vaccines and don't have a reaction, but what we want to make people aware of, which unfortunately, as in Don's case, the physicians and other administrators don't make you aware of, is there's the possibility
of a reaction. And it might be the adjuvant, it might be something else. I'll never forget, Dawn, when Roby came in here 4 or 5 years ago, and you had everybody rolling. It's on YouTube, by the way. We've gotten 65, 70,000 hits. When you read the package insert from the flu vaccine.
Right. Being a physician since '87, right, and having told all these people to get flu shots, we had that H1N1 scare in 2009, and nurses were asking me, should they get the flu shot? At first I said yes, right, just off the top of my head, and then I said, well, let me just take a look at this thing. I've never read it, and it said right there, hidden in plain sight, that the flu vaccine does not protect you from the flu, right? And so we do have to be careful. So it is always a buyer beware type of interface that you have to go in, with medicine in general.
Yeah, exactly. Jason's okay?
Jason's okay.
Second year of college, he's going to be an engineer.
That's right.
Really good to see you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very
really good to see you. We didn't answer the question for you. Should you immunize? That's between you, your husband, your wife, maybe your children, and your doctor. Don't go away. More of Know the Cause right around the corner.
My name is Dawn Cowie. This is a picture of my husband, and he has a fungal pneumonia here called blastomycosis. He's the second person in the state of Michigan to have gotten it and the first to live. He was put on Sporanox for a year. He had a 7% chance of surviving, and with the help of ECMO and Sporanox, he lived. Yay! I heard Doug talk about Sporanox today, and I wanted to come here and I wanted to show Doug that my husband had a fungal pneumonia. My mother-in-law told me about Doug, and she wanted me to come.
I take a lot of supplements. I mean, I take NSC every day. I take olive leaf if I get a little sniffly. The advertisers here have great products. Prevagen, et cetera. The take-home message today was sometimes supplements are necessary to offset symptoms. Medications are made for that reason. But if you're not eating well, you probably need a lot of medications.
Absolutely. And if you're not eating well, the supplements are not going to do half as good as if you're eating the right diet.
Yeah, good message on today's show. Thank you for watching. Roby, good to see him back. Good things to think about. Immunizations, vaccines. That's for you and your doctor and your child to discuss. Thank you for coming. Yeah.